Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino the Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens. And today we are going to be discussing Danganrompa Trigger Happy Havok. And joining me as always to discuss all things video games, one Pete Busby. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing good. I went on like an Agatha Christie thing earlier in 2024 because I've never read her, and I was like, Agatha Christie should have had more teenage sexual escapades in her mysteries. I know she's the greatest selling author of all time, but she could have done better.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say she needed more teenage sexual escapades personally.
She actually has a pretty interesting personal life, actually. I think she
Okay.
disappeared for a while at some point, and people thought she was kidnapped. Maybe. That's not this week's fun fact, by the way. This one's about sharks. So, great white sharks, especially, but apparently all sharks, do a behavior they called spy hopping, where they just poke their little heads above water to take a look around and see what's happening. Yeah.
Do we know what they get out of it? They just do it.
No.
We don't know why?
Yeah. We're not really sure why. They think it's because they're curious. But, I mean, that seems like a lot to toss on a shark,
I just wonder if, sometimes sharks poke their heads up and they're like, nope, and then just go right back down.
Is it time to evolve legs? No, not yet.
Yeah.
Sees what's going on up here and is like, ugh, maybe next millennia.
Yeah. All right. So I did a quick fact check. On December 1926, Agatha Christie, disappeared in bizarre circumstances from her home in southern England, leading to the biggest manhunt in British history for a missing person, at least at the time. So, yeah, she showed up 11 days later, claiming to be the victim of amnesia.
Interesting. Agatha Christie would be a really good name for a fried chicken restaurant / bookstore.
It would.
That other voice you heard, what was that, M?
I said write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for you listeners. This is the kind of great ideas you get from us.
That other voice you heard is one M Palladino. How you doing, M? Mistress of Games.
Hello. I've been doing a lot of stuff, mostly not pertinent to this podcast. Yeah, we played this game that I've had on my list for a while, and we sure have some thoughts about it.
We sure do. Yeah, so our normal plugs. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show. deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. And deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections. You can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens, which would get you access to our Discord. And it's possible, if I did everything right, you might have heard ads before this started.
Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
I tried turning that on. I just want to see, just to kind of learn if ads make a difference for us one way or another. If, monetization that way doesn't do that much, I'll just turn them back off. Or if we get any ads that people find off-putting, I tried to set it to an ad setting that would be pretty tame and hopefully not have the bad content, stuff we wouldn't agree to advertise on the show. But there should be ads at the beginning and end of the show, and we'll see how that feels. We'll also probably see if we can get a ad-free feed for our patrons. So maybe that's another thing. But for right now, it's an experiment just to see what impact there is, if there is any. So if you notice that, that's what's going on there. But a way you can directly support the show, other than listening and sharing the show with friends and family and reviewing the show, is on the Patreon. Which would get you access to our Discord, which could put you on the Discord report.
The Discord report. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. This week on the Discord, we were on a list. Do you remember us getting on the list?
Is it a good list or one of like Trump's media enemies list? Because we'd probably make that too.
Probably. This one was a good list. I'm trying to find where it was actually posted.
It was posted in the Oji-Sancast.
That's what I thought. We ended
was
up
a while ago.
Yeah, I thought it was more recent, but I guess it's further back than I thought. We were in 6th place on a like video game podcast aggregating thing. If I could find where the hell it was posted.
Six
List.
places, and they just listed us 6th, or we earned something to arrive at 6th.
We placed in 6th place on. I found it. It is podcast.feedspot.com/Game Club Podcast. 20 best Game Club podcasts. And we were 6th place.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible. Beating out such podcasts as Retro Game Club, Nice Games Club, Disagreeers Club, Game and Read Podcast. Yes. So there were a bunch of ones. We did not beat Watch Out for Fireballs, Into the Darkness, DOS Game Club, Dev Game Club, and Left Behind Game Club, but we'll see what happens in 2025.
Hell yeah.
Maybe we can get our claws in the list some more. This was brought to our attention by new to the Discord member Scurvy. Thank you for pointing that out, because we would have never found that. I can't imagine why. Other things on the Discord. There's something good. There's something bad. Oh,
Okay.
I was sad because you know about that TikTok ban.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That TikTok got banned. That was a whole thing. Apparently, it's not a thing anymore. But I don't care about any of that. Tangentially, Marvel Snap got banned in the U.S., which is what I'm mad about.
Are they harvesting our data too? How's the Chinese government using Marvel Snap?
Apparently, it is, because I have not been able to access Marvel Snap, which is such a shame. I was really getting back into it, and now it's taken away.
I'm just picturing like a Senate hearing on subcommittee, and they're like, look, She-Hulk is way too thick. It's distracting our men, and they're not going to go to war, and China knows this.
You know,
I would go to war for She-Hulk. I'll say that. Other than that, anything you recall on the Discord, Gino, Pete?
I mean, that was the big thing. Was we asked some folks how did they find this show, and they were like, this list.
Yeah.
That was cool. We discussed obviously the game of the week a little bit. Pete, what's the next OG Soncast on? What are you covering?
That is a good question, Gino. It's a bunch of words that don't mean anything. So let me find where I wrote it down. 2001 Boogie Pop Phantom.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so that's happening. And yeah, the NFL predictions we made were spectacularly wrong. At least when it comes to the NFC. The AFC, we're fine right now. We got the AFC's final 2 teams right. We all like the Lions too much, it turns out. So if the Lions didn't let us down, we would have been fine for the most part. But they did. All right, so without further ado, let's get into Danganronpa. Em, you picked this. First, what is this? Secondly, why did you think I would hate it?
Do you think I thought you would hate it?
You said it was for a year of this was a leftover year of torture game. So
It might have been. It might have been the year of torture rolling over. So Danganronpa, it was a Japanese game released in 2010 on the PSP. It was globally released in 2012. Originally, you could buy the PSP version in Japan by chapter, or you could buy it as a whole. Dangan means bullet, and Rampa is like refutation or defeating someone in a debate. So that's why there are bullets and debates in this game. This is a game made by Kazutaka Kodaka. He wanted to make an original game, as his previous games were action adventures that weren't very popular. and he wanted to make a darker narrative based on a killing game, but the staff of Spike Chunsoft wanted to make it really stylish. They thought that it was risky because high school students were killing each other, even though they have released games like that before. And so they leaned into this stylish, what they call, quote, stylish high-speed reasoning action in a, quote, psychopop style. So in that's the origins. The original working title was Distrust, but then they were like, maybe Americans will like Japanese games. And so they made it more Japanese styled. Danganronpa is about a bunch of kids in a high school that is supposed to be like hope for the future. And instead, they end up trapped. And the only way they can leave is if they kill someone and don't get found out. So the plot is basically a series of murder mysteries. And in the end, they have a trial, and the person who did the killing gets caught and then executed.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's the whole
That is-
thing.
That is it. This game is very much battle royale meets Saw. I feel is the that's kind of
Yes.
thing meets just like anime schlock.
Yeah.
Just like
I have in my notes it was inspired by Saw and Cube, which Cube I have not seen.
I've
But-
seen Cube. I like Cube.
Yeah.
is Cube
Is
like
this
battle
accurate?
royale.
No, Cube is like a bunch of people are tossed into a prison that's shaped like a series of cubes, and they have to navigate from one room to another, avoiding traps. So it's sort of the similar idea of like a bunch of randos are thrown to this world that they have like no idea what's happening and need to fight to survive.
Okay. But yeah,
That makes
it's
sense.
high schoolers. There's a figure. The Saw figure in this game is Monokuma. Pete, how would you describe Monokuma?
A pain in the ass. He's a black and white cookie if that were a bear, and he just makes horrible puns, and he's a horny little pervert, and he's just up in everybody's face all the time, teleporting around. But he has the power of infinite spears, which is difficult to overcome.
Yeah, and he's full of bombs.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of. I mean, it's a like cutesy mascot that is also murdering. What if Jigsaw was a cutesy mascot, basically?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Are you implying Billy the Jigsaw clown puppet thing is?
I mean, it's less cute than Monokuma. I mean, it is cute, but Billy the Jigsaw puppet is not making fun puns all the time, you know?
Is Billy like canonically the puppet's name?
Yes.
Okay. Sure.
I don't know if that's like addressed in the script anywhere or if it's just like what people have named it.
I
one
will say,
thing,
I don't think that Billy the Jigsaw puppet was designed explicitly to sell plushies, and I think Monokuma was.
Yeah, that's fair. One thing we're missing as far as context with Monokuma goes, in Japan, in the Japanese version of this game, Monokuma is voiced by Nobuyo Yamashita, who is the voice of Doraemon.
Doraemon.
Who, if you are in Japan, is basically a household name. So Monokuma having this voice is kind of like if the thing telling you to murder all your friends was voiced by like
Elmo.
Mickey Mouse or yeah.
It's like Elmo or Mickey Mouse telling you to kill.
Bugs Bunny, maybe.
Bugs is too edgy. Doraemon's
coming out-
very anodyne.
That's
Coming out
true.
in 2025 is a Steamboat Willie horror movie. Now that
Hell
he's in the
yeah.
public domain, I want to say it's called Steamboat Killy, but that can't be right. That name's too dumb. But it's something along those lines. Screamboat Willie, maybe.
All of these are good. That just reminds.
Yeah.
There should be a Love Boat Willie. He's in the public
It is-
domain also.
It is just called Screamboat.
That's it. Screamboat. Thank you.
Mhm.
Steamboat Killy would be very good.
Anyway,
But yeah, so it's like there's this bear. You play as Protag Kun, aka what is his actual name?
Makoto.
Koto Negi.
Makoto. Yeah, Makoto Negi, who is the most normal boy, and the school that he's in is supposed to be only for the most elite of elite people. So like all the other kids are like, this kid's the best baseball player in the world. This kid's the best swimmer. This one's the best programmer. This one's the best motorcycle tough.
This one's the best.
Motorbike.
This one's the best hentai pervert.
Yeah.
This is the best hentai pervert. This one's the best romance writer. This one, but also maybe something else is going on with that one. This one's the best fashionista. So, the definition of best that they're using is pretty loose, or at least what they value in terms of best.
So why is Negi here?
He's the ultimate. Oh, go ahead, Pete. Take it away.
Because I was angry about this, so let
Uh-huh.
me be angry for a moment.
Okay.
So he's in there because he won a lottery as the ultimate lucky student. So he's a normal that gets to go to this school, right? That's the initial canonical explanation we get, which annoyed me for this reason. There's a very, very famous science fiction book called Ringworld, in which a lottery goes on for generations that eventually selects for luck, leading to a group, or at the very least one, super lucky human. It's basically Domino from the one of those dumb movies, from the Deadpool movies,
Mhm.
which I thought that might be where this story was going. I was like, ooh, that's exciting. Like he's the ultimate luck, like good luck charm. No, he just won a dumb lottery and he's a dumb kid that I hate.
Yeah, he doesn't have any actual luck powers. He's just
No.
won the lottery, which lets him go to the Hope's Peak Academy. I don't think we've said the name.
Yeah.
It's supposed to inspire hope in everywhere. Japan.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and so he is your everyman, right? He's your character who has no traits of any kind, really, no reason why they're there, but they're the main character because it's a video game, and you have to have the main character be an emotionless. I shouldn't say emotionless, featureless male protagonist that you can project anything you want onto, because it was the late 2000s.
Yeah, very
And
seldom
such was
do
the
we
way
even-
of things.
Very seldom do we even see him. Like
Yeah.
because he's our narrator, he just lurks behind the camera mostly.
Yeah, and he doesn't. He solves the crimes because he must. He's usually led by the nose by another person whenever a murder is happening. I want to say like a sixth or a seventh of all of the overall dialogue is just him repeating back what someone else told him because he can't understand, putting basic facts together. It's incredible.
There are a distressing amount of flashbacks to things that didn't happen that long ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flashbacks to stuff that just happened are egregious in this game. It's like they needed to stretch the runtime, but it's not. It's a pretty long game anyway.
Yeah, it's like 25 hours.
It's worth saying this is like a visual novel, and for 9/10 of it, I would say, except for all the mini games that you have to do. So it's kind of par for the course to have the main character in his own head quite a bit, and just repeating stuff just to add more words to the script, but for basically no reason. So par for the course.
Par for the course. From a gameplay perspective, there are kind of a few different phases. There's regular school life, there's investigation, and then there's the trials. M, what do you do during regular school life?
You walk around the school, you talk to people, you pick up stuff sometimes. It's basically just getting from one like investigation to the next. It's also when you have all your free time events, so you hang out with your in quotes friends. The people who are killing each other, I guess, could be your friends. Yeah.
I had a question about this too. I could
Yep.
have looked it up easily myself, but I didn't. So maybe one of y'all can answer it to me. Where does this relate, just timeline wise, to the Persona series? Because I was getting like distinct Persona vibes, like they sort of wanted to go in that direction, but didn't really want to build out the social relationships that much.
So this
fair.
game came out a little bit after Persona 4 in terms
Okay.
of when it came out. But the Persona series drew very heavily from visual novels
Yep.
to make like the social link stuff from Persona is very much a like romance game or visual novel trope that they adapted into an RPG. So I would say that the lineage here is backwards. Like Persona drew from games like Danganronpa, not the other way around. But I will say the comparison to Persona makes the social linking in this game a lot less flattering.
Yes.
Like
Yes, it does.
going and in this game, the way you have free time that you can hang out with people, and the way that you advance those relationships is you go to a capsule machine and you get Monokuma coins and you put those in the machine, and then it gives you prizes, and then you can use those prizes as gifts. And
Dude.
you just have to give the right gift to the right person. That's it.
That's what I was wondering, right? Like there is like a correct answer at some stage, yeah?
Yeah, there are gifts that they like more. Each person
Okay.
has gifts that they like the most. So if you just give them the right gifts, you will advance those relationships faster than if you don't give them gifts or if you give them the wrong gifts. Which, it means that if you don't give the right gift to the right person, or if you start relationships with people who die or kill or, become unavailable for one reason or another, you just don't get to advance those plot lines. So this is a game where that social linking mechanic feels super duper tacked on. I don't know, Em, if you felt the same way. Or
Yeah. It seems as though it's in there because that is the style of the times. Like people want it to be like a dating sim, but that is not what this game is about. Uh, who did you give gifts to? Did you give anyone any gifts? Gino?
yeah,
I'm good.
Pico first.
I'm trying to think who I spent the most time with. I spent a lot of time with Hina because I'm interested in swimming, and I gave a lot to the. I'm gonna say this isn't really a spoiler because it's super obvious from the beginning. To the detective girl with the white hair, Kyoto. That's a city. What was her name? Was it Kyoto?
It's Kyoko Kirigiri.
Thank you. She got a lot of gifts too. I gave like one or two to Rich Annoying Guy, for
Why?
story reasons. Just because he's around a lot,
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely times where you feel like you have to hang out with people because they're who's left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I hung out with Idol Girl when she was available because I was like, you don't seem like you're going to be available for long. I
You're
hung
out of
out.
here.
Yeah, I hung out with Kyoko because she seemed pretty obviously like a character who was not going to die or murder someone. Then I hung out with Celeste because she's a weirdo.
Yeah, she's cool. She got a couple gifts.
She's a weirdo, and I also thought you seem like someone who won't be here for very long for different reasons.
Can we just run down who all the characters are?
Sure.
Yeah, we should just bang out all 15.
Let's finish what you're saying first, and then I'll
Yeah,
run down.
I hung out with Hina a little bit, but she I couldn't advance her far enough, and I hung out with Toko a little bit because I had to because I couldn't. A bunch of the other characters who were interesting were too dead to hang out with.
Yeah, late
Toko
game,
was
your
annoying.
options are pretty limited. Okay, so here's the cast of Danganronpa 1. So Negi, he's your ultimate lucky student. And this is translated differently depending on like where you're looking at it. So in some translations, they go with super high school level, something like that. In the American version that we're playing, it's all ultimate whatever. Um, so in some cases, that's different enough that I've pointed it out. Like Chihiro Fujisaki is the ultimate programmer. And then in some translations, that is translated as hacker. Um, Aoi Asahina, she is the ultimate swimming pro. Sakura
Aoi.
Ogami, what?
Aoi. Asahina.
Aoi.
Yep, got it.
AOI. It's hard to pronounce.
It's
It's
blue.
all vowels. Oh, that makes sense. Sakura Ogami is the ultimate martial artist or wrestler. Yasuhiro Hagakure, ultimate clairvoyant or fortune teller. Leon Kawada, ultimate baseball star. Junko Enoshima, she's the ultimate fashionista or gyaru, which is like fashion girl. Kiyotaka Ishimaru or Taka, ultimate moral compass, also translated as super high school level disciplinarian,
Yeah, he sucks, by the way.
sometimes referred to as hall monitor, which is
Terrible.
very funny.
Everything about him's awful.
Yeah, you don't like him?
Oh,
Well,
well, don't worry. We'll learn about some other guys who are cool.
yeah, like Byakuya Tagami, the ultimate affluent prodigy, or super high school level heir.
His skill
Sayaka,
was being born into a rich family.
yeah, he's the super high school level rich guy. He's Seto Kaiba, I think, was someone referred to him as.
Yeah, that's what I called him. I'm like, I love hanging out with Seto Kaiba so
Yeah,
much in this game.
yep. Sayaka Maizono, she's the ultimate pop sensation. Originally, she was supposed to be the game's heroine, but they went with your boring regular guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Mondo Awada, ultimate biker gang leader. Kyoko Kirigiri. When we first meet her, she doesn't know what ultimate she is, but it's fairly obvious she is the ultimate detective. Toko Fukawa, she is the ultimate writing prodigy. Ifumi Yamada, ultimate fanfic creator, or doujin artist. So take that for what you will. And Celestia Ludenberg, who is the ultimate gambler.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how many of these people did you actively want to see die, Pete?
Oh gosh. Well, fanfic guy,
Yep.
Mhm.
rich guy,
Yep.
hall monitor.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fashionista didn't stick around long enough for me to like care one way or another, but she seemed like she was trending in that direction too. There's 15 of them. I'm sure I'm missing a
Yeah.
bunch, but I just can't remember who everybody is.
Yeah, I mean, those were definitely the ones I didn't like. Baseball guy who also was like, I'm giving up baseball to become a rock star.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I mean, we'll go into spoiler town. Some of these characters don't last long enough to overstay their welcome quite as much. But yeah, I would say almost every character who I was like, this person's insufferable, except for Seto Kaiba, got what I felt they had coming.
Yeah, Togo. I wanted Toko.
Oh.
I wanted romance writer. I wanted her to go too.
Yeah, that's true. Toko, almost all of the freaks die pretty early on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
except Toko.
I will say, except for Toko, I appreciated how the game resisted becoming a harem anime. I thought we were going to go a lot further in that direction than we did, which was refreshing.
Yeah, I
Would
mean,
have been very easy.
Yeah, it would have.
Sayaka is just like, hey, so like if I murdered someone, you'd take the fall for me, right? Because I love you so much. I've been interested in you romantically, Protag Kun, for quite some time. And yeah, I could have easily seen that extend to other characters. But it largely didn't. And was there anyone that we have not listed who you felt deserved death?
Deserved death. I mean, I basically like just to let you under the curtain a little bit, I read this one when it was only available in uh, tr- fan translation form on the Something Awful forums as far back as 2010. So I sort of knew where everyone was going to end up, shall we say. So yeah, I was spoiled to the fates of a lot of these characters. Uh, so I did not uh, make any bad decisions.
Okay.
I only
Should-
gave stuff to people I knew were going to survive, or Chihiro, who deserved to live. Anyway, we'll get to it.
That was going to be my next question. And we should run
Yes.
this backwards too. Who did you
Yeah.
want to see survive? Because that's a much short. I think that's a two-person list for me, probably.
Yeah. Chihiro and Sakura
Yep.
and everyone else. Probably. Let me check. Hold on. Let me look down the
I feel like
list.
Kyoko just fine. She was fine.
Yeah, Kyoko's fine.
Yeah, she's a cipher. She's nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
She's there to make the plot move.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Chihiro and Sakura that was the entirety of my list. Tina's
Yeah.
fine. Like she just likes donuts and swimming, and she invites you to be her pretend boyfriend for a little while. But I didn't
Tina's
care.
so funny.
Yeah, whether she made it or not.
She's so funny. I like her.
She's a
But-
Genki girl.
Yeah, she could have died, and I would have been like, oh, okay, that's what happens.
No, she was too Genki. She couldn't die. Yeah, I mean, I think Sakura is the only character who I was like, you're too good for this world. You're too good for
Yeah.
this place.
And you didn't think that about Chihiro?
I mean, I didn't hang out with Chihiro enough to know.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
Chihiro seemed fine when I hung out with them. They seemed fine. I liked the robot version.
I could have done without the robot version personally, but
If
Didn't
the
like the
robot version
robot?
was anything like regular Chihiro, then Chihiro was great. So without spoilers, you get to the investigations. That's just basically clicking on areas until you find clues after
Yes.
a body has been discovered. And then you go into the trials, class trials. How did you find the mechanics? There are a few different discrete mini games that you have to play, but how did you find them?
Okay, hold on. Let me get the whole list of what they're called. So in the class trials, you're doing a lot of the like regular Phoenix Wright thing where you just have to interrogate people, and then sometimes words will fly across the screen and you have to shoot those. And this is called
That's the bullet
Where is
time
it?
battle, right?
Yeah. So there's nonstop debate. And then you have truth bullets, which you get during your investigation. And these like load up a little gun thing in the corner. And then you have to truth bullet your phrases that are flying around. And then sometimes there will be other things rotating around that is just bullshit. So you have to target the correct weak point. And then sometimes you have to do a little hangman puzzle. This is called the Hangman's Gambit, where you have to do a little like hangman thing in order to make a clue that you will then use. And then in the closing argument, you have to do basically putting it all together. And that is how you get the little manga comic that is shows what actually happened by putting all the evidence into the correct spots. And then there's bullet time battle, where there's like a rhythm game. Is that all of them?
Yeah, the rhythm game. Rhythm game sucks.
You didn't like
I
it?
mean, all of them suck in their own ways. I found the
Mhm.
rhythm game just to be annoying. Like you need to aim at the phrases that are coming at you because I guess people are yelling at you, and you
Uh-huh.
shoot them with guns.
Yeah.
Thankfully, if you hang out with Sayaka, she gets you the ability to like target multiple phrases at once, so you don't have to constantly go left trigger, right trigger, which is nice, I guess. I just found the endless debate to be pretty a shitty way to just basically do Phoenix right. You know,
Uh-huh.
like, hey, you know what the correct answer is, but what if you could mechanically fail to give the correct answer because some nonsense flies across the screen and blocks your bullet, or the phrase moves too fast and you miss the bullet, and then there's a timer and you actually lose health if you shoot the wrong thing. And also, like, sometimes there are multiple things that seem like they could be the right answer here because, sometimes you're 2 steps ahead of where the game wants you to be.
Right.
So if you shoot the wrong phrase, you lose health and then you can just get game overs. Because the game it's not just that you shoot the truth bullets, right? And it's not just that you have one truth bullet. Eventually you'll get multiple truth bullets, which are evidence that you found. Sometimes you need to absorb phrases that people have already said and then shoot them. So, like, the number of possible answers and places for them to go is actually pretty high. And like I said, there are a lot of times I found where it seemed like there were 4 or 5 potential answers that would have all been valid. And no, the game's like, no, there's only one correct answer here. So you just kind of trial and error it. And it's an annoying trial and error. It takes a lot of time because you have to listen to these stupid debates replay themselves over and over and over again if you miss your shot or something. And I mean, literally, like, you're shooting, like, you have a reticle that dances around on the screen. And if you miss the phrase, you have to watch the whole thing again.
Yep.
Did either of you enjoy the endless debate?
No.
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 Why would you? I mean, is it better than what you do in Phoenix Wright, where you just trial and error everything?
No.
You
It's
know?
worse. It's definitely worse.
Yeah. I think there's a way to do it where it's actually interesting to do these, like, trials. And this is definitely way too far in another direction.
Yeah. Part of the problem too is, like, most of the characters aren't very bright. So a lot of it's just yelling nonsense at each other until, like, one of
Yep.
the actually competent characters moves the plot along.
Yeah, that is another thing, is like a decent amount of each trial is disproving something stupid that Hero believes
Yeah.
because he's a moron. He's like, can you prove to me that this person standing right in front of me isn't a ghost? And it's like, okay, what evidence do I have to refute that this person isn't a ghost?
Their corporeal form, I guess. And he's like, well, what does corporeal mean? And you're like, oh, well.
And that you just need to spend so much time placating morons with evidence. Like, how do we know that this person was poisoned? Show them poison. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah, how do we know that the greatest martial artist in the entire world wasn't killed with a single bottle to the back of the head?
Yeah, two bottles to the back of the head by 2 weaklings. How can we confirm that wasn't what killed them? So I guess to that point, we should get to the actual trials because, like, that's the gameplay. You wander around the school, you pull capsules from the capsule machine. There's not that much purpose to wandering around the school. Besides when you're into the investigation phase, nothing ever changes. And you don't need Monokuma coins. Like, the better you do in the trials, you get more Monokuma coins. But you don't actually need that many to get gifts. And also, the social linking doesn't matter. Like, you don't need any abilities to win at all.
Yeah.
Like, the abilities you unlock by hanging out with people barely matter.
I will say too, like, grading on, like, a slight curve. Like, this isn't a mystery novel. This isn't like one of the greatest, detective stories ever written. But the murder plots are genuinely interesting. Like, there are twists and turns. There are multiple competing possibilities. Like, they're well done.
Yeah. I think some of them are. Some of them are bad.
I mean, I said grading on a curve.
So I would say there's at least one that is awful, but most of the other ones are fine. Well, one made me actually angry. The rest of them, I was like, I know what the answer is, and you're really going to make me spend an hour in this trial to prove this thing that's obvious. But yeah, only one was that egregious to me. In a like, I think this is bad writing sort of way. Not even interesting, not clever, just like shitty. Yeah, so should we go through the trials and which ones? What did we think of murder number 1? And M, do you want to list who got killed and
Sure.
how we found out?
So, do we want to say who did it, or we want to keep that for a later time?
We're in spoiler town. Let's just
All
go
right.
through who got killed and who done it and how
Welcome to
much we
Spoiler
liked.
Town. Chapter 1, Sayaka was planning on killing you, the main character, but instead she gets killed by Leon, the ultimate baseball star.
Oh, she was planning to kill Leon and frame you for the murder.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, there was yeah, she was going to do it and then died.
Yeah, who could have foreseen that the world's greatest pop star wouldn't be interested in our loser pro tag?
Mm.
What a mystery that was.
She was really laying it on thick.
Mhm.
I've had
yeah.
my eyes on you, Protag Kun, since we went to middle school together.
And now I want to be your assistant in this murder castle.
You know what's up, Protag Kun. You always will take care of me, right? Yeah, so,
All right.
that's
that was
pretty
the first
egregious.
one. Yep.
I did enjoy how Leon was implicated. Like the baseball specifics that implicate
Yeah.
him, Pete, if you remember.
I do. So he had to destroy evidence, and there's an incinerator that's locked behind a gate. Gate's like 30 feet away from the button that activates the incinerator. So he had to throw his bloody shirt into the incinerator and then take a crystal ball that he stole from our idiot clairvoyant. He didn't steal it, he left it in the laundry room, which he then like whipped through the gate to hit the button. So clearly a throw only the world's greatest baseball star could make.
Yeah, I like that. It had a little bit of like what that person was about. It had some interesting twists and turns of how did this happen. You got a little bit of, you had to know that Protag Kun has a weird bathroom that only opens if you jostle the door just right. Like there were a few good twists and turns. I thought the first trial I was feeling good, and then the second trial happens, and all the goodwill went away.
Oh, boy.
That's a tough one.
So chapter 2.
Yeah. Tell us about Chihiro, our best boy,
Best
girl, best boy.
girl / best boy. Depending on how you interpret the events of the game. Chapter 2, Chihiro gets killed by Mondo, who has a gay panic and hits her with a dumbbell. And then someone decides that they should mess around with this crime scene. And it really makes things a lot messier than it needed to be. Why any of that? Why any of this?
Yeah, so
this is by far the low point of all the trials.
100%. This is the one
Yes.
that made me mad because Chihiro gets killed, right? And when we find the body, Pete, what is going on with Chihiro?
So Chihiro has been strung up in more or less a crucifixion pose using an extension cord, and bloodlust has been written on the wall to implicate a famed serial killer, Genocide Jack, who everybody just seems to be cool with assuming is a high school student. Like that's a normal thing that happens all the time.
Yeah.
And the perpetrator of this one, just to skip ahead a little bit, was our resident rich boy Byakuya, who did it, and this is as far as I got into his motivations, just to liven things up a little bit.
Yeah.
So Chihiro gets murdered, and then Byakuya goes to the trouble of staging a elaborate crime to implicate Genocide Jack, who happens to be Toko's secret alternate personality. So the romance writer, deep in the recesses of her mind, has a serial killer, and they swap whenever they sneeze. But Genocide Jack's like, I didn't do it. I kill with these scissors that I use to kill people. And I have them.
Carry around.
Yeah, she's got the power of infinite scissors.
Yep.
And so she's like, I couldn't have done it because I only kill with scissors, and I string people up with scissors, and I only kill boys because I'm horny as hell.
Yeah, and this is where, like, the inciting moment to this was Mononoke threatened to reveal everyone's secrets,
Monokuma.
which Monokuma, I'm sorry. Our bear cookie threatened to reveal everyone's secrets, which some characters, the much stronger ones, took much better than the other much weaker characters, who panicked and fell to pieces.
Yeah. So it turns out Chihiro's secret is that Chihiro's physically weak, and so do we have to? Are we going to take at face value that Chihiro identifies as a boy and is cross-dressing because being weak and perceived as a girl is better than being weak and perceived as a boy?
I mean, that's what
Or-
the game tells us.
That's what the game tells us, because of
Yeah.
course
Yeah.
it does, because it's 2009 in Japan.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we're supposed to actually read it.
So this is I'll be honest, I forgot just how transphobic this section of the game was.
Yeah.
If you take it at face value, Chihiro identifies as a boy but is dressing up in women's clothing because it's quote easier than being weak and a boy, which that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. A lot of this people have sort of taken and been like, I know what the text says, but you know, Chihiro's got something going on gender wise. I would say that I ascribe to that. Yeah. So the way that it deals with Chihiro's gender is pretty gross. Yeah, and because Chihiro is dead at the time that this is all found out, Chihiro can't say anything about it, right?
Yep. And then
So
Mondo
and then-
kills Chihiro because Chihiro like starts working out at night to try and get stronger so he can live as a boy, because he'll be strong enough to not have to cross dress. Just ridiculous logic. Just truly, truly ridiculous logic. So
Yeah.
he starts working out at night and asks Mondo to help. And Mondo, seeing Chihiro, who's dressed like a girl, say, I want to improve myself. Mondo's like, no, no, no. You trying to improve yourself threatens my masculinity because I have weaknesses that I can't move past. And so because you are trying to be a better person, I'm going to murder you right here and now. It makes no sense at all.
yeah.
No, it
None.
would be like if the game was interested in it, it would have been a very like poignant critique of toxic masculinity and like the seemingly strong character is internally weak and like nothing can challenge his masculinity. He can't take it. But the game's not interested in any of that, obviously.
No,
Uh-huh.
not at all. And Mondo shows no signs of any of this leading up to the murder. The murder itself, obviously nothing implicates Mondo because you find a crime scene staged to look like Genocide Jack did it, and then you find all this evidence that Byakuya was the person who staged it, which would implicate Byakuya. But then during the trial, after you've implicated Byakuya, someone's like, but I didn't do it, so who did? And then Mondo just kind of like confesses out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he
You
So I
didn't
will-
have to do that.
he did not. I will say this for Mondo is I think he might get the worst execution.
Oh, right,
'Cause
they
if
get
I'm-
executed.
Yeah, if I'm
We
understanding,
didn't mention that.
oh, we did. Sorry, yeah. If you get caught, you get murdered. So baseball guy was pummeled to death by 1,000 baseballs.
Yeah.
And Mondo, if I'm understanding the cutscene right, he gets driven around in a motorcycle in like one of those death balls so fast that his body is whipped into butter that Bear then spreads on his toast.
Yeah, that's the implication.
That's it, right? Like that's okay. I'm accurate. Got it.
That's the implication, I think.
Okay.
Though that does raise questions that come up later on when we find the morgue. Unless one of the chambers in the morgue just has a thing of butter sitting inside of it, which would be very funny. So the third murder, we got ourselves a double homicide.
Yes.
The Dojin freak and the cop both get killed. And we are made to think that Robo Justice or Hero did it. But actually, it was Celeste. How quickly did you identify that it was Celeste?
The second she started being mean to hentai pervert, I was like, he's going to love this meanness. They're going to be bonded forever.
He's gonna do anything that
Yep.
she asks, and then she's gonna kill him, which is exactly
100%.
what happened.
Yep. Yeah, before the murder even happens, that was when I was like, okay, she's going to use him as a tool to kill someone. And then we find Alter Ego, who is Chihiro's like a shitty laptop is running an AI program written by Chihiro. And this causes hentai pervert to fall in love with the laptop because the program answers questions and asks questions, and no one else talks to him because he's awful.
You know, kind of prescient considering where we are with AI technology at this day and age.
It is. And then our cop hall monitor also kind of falls in love with it because he really bonded with Mondo in the sauna before his execution, and the AI can also pretend to be Mondo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because their the spirit of masculine friendship inhabits the hall monitor, and so he becomes Gogeta or whatever. And has both of their personalities fused together because he's an idiot. Yeah, so that one's pretty, like, there's an elaborate staging of, like, there's a robot costume that frames Hero, and Celeste is like, oh, I was attacked and knocked out for exactly 1 hour, but thankfully I got a picture of our assailant. I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, totally. We got knocked out for exactly an hour and have a perfect picture of the person we should be looking for. Yep.
She also points out that hentai guy is dead, but nobody checks the body to actually confirm it, which Agatha Christie actually did that exact move in a much better book. I forget the title of.
Yeah, and she leads you around by the nose, like, I saw someone moving, come, follow me. Like 4 different times during the actual murders. But what happens is hall monitor guy gets killed by hentai boy. And hentai boy and Celeste do a bunch of elaborate cover-ups. Hentai boy thinks that Celeste is going to kill someone else, and then they're both going to get away with it because they both committed murder. And she's like, I am going to kill someone else. You moron! And then brains him.
If I can take a step back, too, I mean, I know this is way out of order. I don't think we ever said why all these murders are happening in the first place.
Yeah.
These 15 students are locked in the school, and the only way you get let out is if you graduate by killing someone and getting away with it. So that's the impetus for these murders in the first place.
Yeah, and we should also say every one of these murders is precipitated by Monokuma, like, giving you a motive. So, like, the first one... Yeah, the first one, Monokuma's like, hey, here's what's I've done something to someone you care about. And then the second one is like, I'm going to tell everyone your secrets. The third one is...
$10 million.
Yeah, it's money.
$10 million.
And Celeste is the ultimate gambler, so she's like, I will need a lot of money.
Yeah, well, while we're on the subject, why don't you toss out Celeste's true motivation, which we learn at the end.
Oh man, is this because she wanted a mansion filled with men?
Yep, hot vampire-dressed manservants.
Yeah. Yep.
Which honestly, don't we all?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me more than any of like Mondo's dumb ideas.
Yeah. So she gets burned alive, and then they run a fire truck into her.
Yeah, which just felt like overkill. She's already burning alive.
So she doesn't get away with it.
All of the executions are basically the most cartoonish, like Monokuma just being like a little cartoon character. And this one was no exception, I'll say.
Yes. Chapter 4, this is the only murder that really, it got me. It made me feel bad.
Because it's the only like character that's like legitimately, well, I shouldn't say that. At this point, now that we've lost Chihiro, it's the only good character we have left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Sakura is murdered. She's in a locked room, so no one was in there with her. You find her body. And this is one where I knew what happened immediately. They're like, cause of death. It seems like there was a blow to the head, and also she was coughing up blood. Oh,
And didn't we
okay.
just find a chem lab full of poisons and protein drinks 10 minutes ago? That's a weird place to store both of those, but sure.
How about that?
Also worth saying, this game has, every time a murder happens, they open up another section of the school. So you always, and the next murder will almost always involve something to do with a room that just got revealed. So like, when you get access to the rec room, you find one of the victims in a rec room, or like the art room. This murder with Sakura, you get access to the chem lab. The chem lab is prominently involved in the murder. So there's a few red herrings here. Em, were you thrown by any of them at all?
I'm a bad person to ask. I know everything.
Let me jump in then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did think Hina was going to be the ultimate perpetrator here. I knew either one of two things would have happened. It was either going to be the poison protein or the candy she gave to Sakura would have been poisoned. But I didn't jump straight to the actual real perpetrator in this one.
Okay, I jumped straight to the real perpetrator because I didn't think
Hold
Hina
on.
murdered
Yeah.
her.
Do you think it would have been on purpose or an accident?
No, like my only question was like, I just assumed it would be Hina because I was like, all right, what would be like the biggest misdirect here?
Right.
And then I'm just like, but I don't know what her motive would have been. The only thing I could think is like she was so betrayed by what Sakura did that like she was just like, now you're dead.
But yeah,
I just
turns out Sakura's a spy. Like the motive here was that they told Monokuma told everyone that Sakura had been a spy the whole time. But like even that, why would her being a spy, like Monokuma has cameras everywhere. Like what is Sakura giving Monokuma that the cameras don't?
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, you live at a panopticon.
On what?
I would simply say having the world's strongest high schooler around is probably, look, you forgive her.
Yeah, you're the world's greatest martial artist. We're in a murder contest. Maybe you're a useful person to keep around.
Yeah, it turns out that Sakura, because the betrayal causes everyone to get at each other's throats because Hina has her back and everyone else is like, no, we can't trust her anymore. She kills herself to remove as a show of loyalty to the group, basically. And she writes an elaborate suicide note that Monokuma steals because Monokuma tampers with like a bunch of these crime scenes to misdirect you too. We didn't even say like with the Chihiro murder, like there's a whole boys girls locker room conundrum there too that's shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a bathhouse at some point, and I was like, parts of this are going to get real weird pretty soon.
Oh yeah, there was a bathhouse scene too. Because of course
Yeah,
there was.
Yeah, and the bear comes out and he's like, hey, you guys should go sneak a peek. And I was like, here it is. Fortunately, cooler heads prevailed, and the boys just went to the cafeteria instead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they did for you? For me, they peaked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Wait, how did
know.
that get determined?
What weird version were you playing?
I don't know. They went and there's a scene and it's like, ooh, people with towels on. Hubba hubba.
And you're like, maybe Hentai guy was right about 2D the whole time.
Yeah, so Sakura dies, and that's sad because Sakura's great.
Yeah,
she was.
And she would have been useful to have around.
Yep.
One of the only useful people.
And as I guess revenge or like peak from having nobody to murder, Bear kills Alter Ego, the Chihiro AI program that was trying to unravel the secrets of the high school and why they're all trapped.
Yeah, there's a secret room, it turns out, that really, it comes up once and then never really comes up again. The secret room in like a janitor's closet, and you plug in the laptop in there so that it can get on the internet, and then the laptop gets captured and destroyed. But yeah, that secret room, really, I don't know what the point of it is. Like there was a file in there, kind of, but like why would this school have a secret room in a janitor's closet?
Yeah, honestly, like it seemed like the only reason to have it was so they could find an Ethernet cable, which, like, I don't know, put it wherever.
Yeah, they needed a second room that the laptop could go to after the laptop was done. There's a lot of just plot by convenience. Like this next section, they reveal that there was a 16th student who gets murdered. So the student you've never met before is the murder victim of the fifth murder.
Yep.
Yeah, and this one, it's a frame job basically. Like
Yeah.
there's a body, it blows up before you can find out who it is. Like there's a bomb attached to it, and then there's a frame job, and you can either frame Kyoko, which gets you a bad ending, or allow yourself to become framed, which then begins the end game if you go that
Did it-
direction.
Did any of you do the bad ending?
No, I
No.
mean, I had no loyalty to myself. I sucked.
So, okay, that's fair. I will say, if you do the bad ending, I'm gonna put a picture in. Let's put it in game of the week. If you do the bad ending, you do get a little like epilogue, which gets you this picture of everyone living forever in the school, which is just good. So I'll let you take a look at that.
Oh, that's great.
That is good. So Hina and idiot clairvoyant ended up together.
And everyone ended up together.
Oh, is that what I? You're right. There are
Yeah.
so many children.
Yeah. So that's the bad ending. Is just has to have these three idiots babies for the rest of her life, I guess.
Because she
But
does
what's
not look happy in that photo.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
mean,
Toko.
Yeah, Toko died at some point. Yeah. Anyway, that's the bad ending. What's the good ending?
Yeah, so the good ending is you basically challenge Monokuma to solving all the mysteries that have to do with the school and finding out Monokuma's real identity, which, you find out that Kyoko is the ultimate detective. Her dad's the headmaster of the school, it turns out. And she wanted to tell him off, but it turns out he's already dead.
What happened to him?
He got murdered.
He got murdered by Monokuma. The very first cutscene we see in this game is him dying.
Oh, he was in the
Mhm.
spaceship.
He was in the spaceship. He gets sent to outer space and then comes back as bones.
Oh, that is him.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't go to outer space. 'Cause I don't want to come back as
Mhm.
bones.
Yep.
Yeah, so that happens, and then they show you pictures of everyone hanging out together, all being friends, in a regular school life, and you're like, that can't be. So you keep going, and you find out that there's a morgue, but there's only 9 bodies in the morgue when there's supposed to be 10 dead people, which reveals that one of the dead people was murdered twice.
Whoa.
So we didn't mention one person who died, Junko, who gets killed because she touches Monokuma and then
Oh,
gets pierced with
yeah.
a
Yeah.
bunch of spears.
Stomps on him.
Mhm.
So it turns out Junko is not Junko. Junko is her twin who does not share a last name.
Nope.
And also they don't look anything alike.
Nope.
At least at first. Her twin is the ultimate soldier who does not show up in any of the scenes. There's always a 16th chair for some reason in the class trials, and Monokuma's like, "Oops, that was a mistake."
Oh, well, don't mind that. It's probably nothing. Her name is Mukuro Ikusaba. She's the ultimate soldier.
Yeah, so it turns out that she is. There was a 16th character you didn't know about. She was murdered as Junko early on, and then the real Junko pulls the body out because she was originally going to kill Makoto, but then gives up on it, and then instead of killing someone else, reuses a corpse
Mhm.
Blows it up.
and then
Yep.
blows it up. And so you find out that it's the real Junko who was the person. But that's so the thing that I really dislike about the ending of this game, and this is kind of the conclusion, is how they justify the school life that the kids lived before the murder game and what the world is like.
Mhm.
Do you remember? these, or will Pete and I have to refresh your memory on this?
Wait, what? Say
Like,
more?
what is the state
Huh?
of the world, and what
Oh,
happened to the 2 years? Why
yeah.
have they been in school for 2 years?
So this is what Monokuma tells them. So it's or is it Junko that tells them this at this point?
Junko,
Yeah,
who just like flips between like 5 different personalities.
right. So Junko tells them that outside the school it's like a fucking destroyed wasteland. And they were put into the school to basically keep them safe and they can start a new society. And is that the whole thing? Am I missing any aspects?
Well, you see, there's this event, the tragedy that occurred,
Yes, the actual
um,
name of it.
and the tragedy. They never explain what the hell the tragedy was. They just say this thing happened and it caused the downfall of society.
But who did it? Ultimate despair.
Ultimate Despair, which is Junko and her twin sister, who have different names.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they did a thing that they don't elaborate on, except that there's a room with a lot of like blood in it, in the school, and chalk outlines. And we see that outside there's just people wearing Monokuma masks, and like Monokuma is on like the Eiffel Tower or whatever. And so society has fallen, and you're on TV. Like everything you're doing is on TV to make people sadder, because being despair is all they care about, and making people sad and nihilistic.
Mhm.
Pete, did
Yeah.
you find any of this final twist compelling?
Oh no. No. The second they introduced an unnamed twin sister that wasn't involved in any of this up until now, I checked out entirely.
Damn.
Yeah, the fact that they and also everyone has amnesia that only
Yes.
pertains to the 2 years that they were in the school, and I don't think they really explain how that happened either.
Nope. I was honestly expecting clones. That was my guess from the beginning. Like that they just keep resurrecting these kids in this school over and over again.
That's one way to do it. So we didn't talk about the very beginning of the game, which is Negi coming to school, and then as soon as he enters the doors, he like goes like the screen gets all spirally, and then he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, an hour has passed," because he looks at the clock. He was like, "I got here at 7, but now it's 8." But actually, 2 years passed.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, it turns out everyone at the school has amnesia only about the time that they're in the school. And
Yep.
Monokuma / Junko is like, what? Do you want me to explain it is mysticism or hypnosis or chemicals? It doesn't matter. It's like, no, it kind of does.
Yeah, tell me something.
No, if your whole plot relies on everyone forgetting 2 years of their lives exactly for no fucking reason, that's just lazy storytelling. Like, they didn't need to. Is really my big problem. Is the most compelling part of this game is the murder mysteries, and having to have this larger thing that you're building up towards, basically be scaffolded by complete storytelling, just lazy storytelling, right? Like it only works because they hand wave it away.
Part of my concern
Sucks.
too is like the world's more or less over, right? Like bad stuff's happening all over the place. I don't think I would need like a television show about some terrible things happening to 16 high schoolers for like despair. Like granted, I don't want bad things to happen to high schoolers, but if like the apocalypse has hit, I've got my own problems, you know?
You don't think you're going to just be glued to a TV watching high schoolers being like, dang, I sure hoped that these 15 kids would bone us out of this or something.
Hold on. Wait. What did you say? Say it again.
But
You said, "I sure what?"
I sure hope that these 15 high schoolers.
You sure
just-
hope.
You fell right into their hands, Gino. You fool. You fool.
Ugh.
Got him.
Yeah, it's the worst. The ending of this game is the worst part of it. Other than playing it, don't play it. Watch someone play it or read about it. Don't play it. But yeah, the ending's just really lazy, and it's a shame because I think I enjoyed a lot of the stuff that led up to Chapter 6. Like I think Chapter 6 is just bad. Like Chapter 2 has a bad trial, but a kind of cool investigation. Chapter 6 is just bad all the way down. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
chapter-
just crisscrossing the school.
Chapter 3, the second you realize, like, you look at that picture and you're like, nobody's in that suit. Then it's over.
Yeah, chapter 3, it's easy to tell what's happening pretty early on, and then you have to like grab people by the nose and lead them to the truth. But yeah, 6 I think is pretty irredeemably bad, but it is necessary to launch the franchise.
Yeah. I will say this is basically setting up for Danganronpa 2 in particular. A lot of the things that don't make a lot of sense in this one, such as why is Alter Ego even here doing things? That's very important to Danganronpa 2.
Hmm.
I have no idea about 3 because I never played 3. But if I had started you off with 2, you would have been like, what in the hell is going on?
So this is the first one then. Like this is the
Yes.
start of it all.
Yes, this is the first one, and then it went on to spin off into at least 3 mainline games, and then a bunch of like side things. Yeah.
And the game, I mean, look, we would have been confused, but it's not like there's good answers in Danganronpa 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like you'd know why some people were dead, but it's not like the storytelling is like airtight, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, this makes perfect sense.
Yep.
There's one character who switches personalities and memories whenever she sneezes. You can kind of write whatever you want in this fiction, and it would be fine.
Also worth noting, she doesn't kill anyone.
No.
No,
They all live with a
she
mass
just-
murderer, and she doesn't kill anyone.
no, she
Yep.
just simps after a rich guy the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know why Japanese incredibly anime media has to have a masochist who's just horny on main at all times, but sure is
Boy,
common.
howdy do they? Yeah.
And there were 2 of them in this game.
Who's? Oh, are you counting both egos? Like both
2D
personalities?
guy. Well, if we count both personalities,
Oh, all
it's
right.
3.
Yeah, I forgot about 2D guy. You're right.
2D guy simps after a laptop
Celeste.
and Celeste.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting.
any closing thoughts on Danganronpa?
I don't think there's a single. Oh no, there. I guess like Sakura. I was gonna say I don't think there's like a single healthy relationship in the entire game. But
And Sakura are good friends and are good
yeah,
to
they're
each other.
fine. Yeah. Everything else is
Um,
weird. I think.
Yeah. This is
We-
it's genre. Everyone has to be fucked up in some way.
Hmm.
Can we agree that
Yeah.
there's no way Hero should have survived this?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, he should have like drowned in the pool on his own. Like nobody should have even murdered him.
Instead of Sakura dying, it should have been Hiro just accidentally killing himself. Do we want to say who gets out of it alive and what the like end result is?
Sure.
I just really wish that it was like Hero decided he wanted to have bathtub toast, and,
So
and that's what did him.
in the end, it's Negi, Hiro, as we've said. I'm looking at my list trying to find everyone. Hina, Kyoko.
Yoko, Hina, and
Toko.
Yakuya.
Yes. Byakuya.
And Toko, somehow.
And Togo. Against all odds, this is our surviving group. And then at the end they open the doors and do we see what is out there? Or is it left up to our imaginations?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. I remember Junko gets killed for sure. She uses all of the murder devices on herself.
Yeah. Joko gets found out at the end. She basically just looks like she's having a great time while it's happening. And then she ends up dying because, of course, she does. And then she's like, all right, now you can get out of here. And then they go outside. And in my recollection, I know that it's actually a wasteland out there. But who knows? Maybe they left it up to the imagination.
Yeah. So that's Danganronpa.
I have one more
ahead.
thing. Small question.
Yes.
So there's a part where you can either tell Master Detective about Sakura or not.
Mhm.
So I didn't tell her, and then she was very annoyed with me for a while. Did y'all tell her or not?
I didn't, because by this point I started using a walkthrough because it was taking too dang long to do things in this game because it's too stinking long. Yeah, I think she gets mad at you either way.
Yeah,
Okay.
she does.
That was going to be my question, like if anything actually changes if you do tell her. But I assumed not.
I guess that raises a question about how long this dang game is. Do you think this would have been a good game to play on mobile?
I mean, no, I don't think the interface would be good, first off. And then it's.
Wait, mobile like your phone or mobile
Like a
like the
PSP.
PSP?
Oh,
on a
okay. Sorry. I was
PSP.
thinking like on my iPhone. I don't know why I just jumped. Maybe I've been playing too much Balatro.
This did come out on iPhone too.
Yes.
No, well, no, there's no way I would play it on my iPhone. It's 25 hours and the interface would not work.
I
Well, no, I
mean,
shouldn't say that. The touching the things flying by would.
yes, that would make it a lot easier to
Yeah.
do those mini games.
The exploring would be annoying, though.
I hate walking around in like phone games
Yeah.
with that little like slidey thing on the
Oh, it's
corner.
horrible.
It's bad. I feel like I don't remember the PSP how it worked exactly, but on like the Switch, you could just like turn it off for a little bit, and then when it turns back on, you're right where you were.
I don't
So
remember if the PSP had a rest mode.
yeah. So I don't know if that would make it better or worse to play this while moving around.
But
What do
like
you
a
think?
lot of the sections of the game take for like once you start a trial, it could be a half hour to an hour just because of how shitty the mini games are if you're actually reading and not hitting fast forward through everything.
Yeah,
Like the
it
serving
is an
size
odd
seems
choice.
ill-equipped.
Yeah. I don't know why this was made for the PSP originally. I could not find any information about what the decision was there. But Spike Chunsoft also made Zero Escape, and that was also a PSP game. So they were just doing these particular games on mobile devices for seemingly no reason.
Well, I mean they're cheaper to develop for. So
That's true.
that could just be the reason right there is, you
Yeah.
know, the wandering around the environments, they are very low def and
True.
kind of rough to look at on a PC.
Mhm.
So could just be a budget thing. And the PSP
Yeah.
was very popular in Japan.
True.
But yeah, that's Danganronpa. Don't play it, watch someone play it, or read it.
Yeah. If you can find the original thread on Something Awful, that it's a historical artifact, but gets the job done.
Read that instead.
Yeah.
Your decisions don't really matter in this game that much, other than who you social link with, and the stories that they tell you when you social link with them suck. They're barely stories.
Yeah, they were terrible. I never got any of the trials wrong. Can you even get a trial wrong, or does it like reset?
You mean like, can you accuse the wrong person or something?
Yeah.
It'll reset. You'll get a game
Yeah.
over and then it resets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except the bad end.
Right.
Even that you can come back and do again.
Yep. It's a
all
story
right.
game.
So now it is my turn to pick once again. And I was told of a game that apparently would be up this show's alley.
Okay.
And I
Do we
think I'm
have
gonna
an
go with
alley?
that.
I feel like we're all
so.
over the place.
We are kind of all over the place, but it's not a racing game. That's what that means, I think.
That's true. I don't think we've ever played an FPS. Oh, we played one.
We played not that many. It's usually not us. If it's a competitive FPS, we're probably not covering it.
So this week we're doing CS:GO.
No, we're not. Man, it's just the ultimate sicko behavior. I'm gonna pick mouth washing.
Oh God.
Mouthwashing. I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
From M's reaction, I'm excited.
Do you know anything about it, Em?
I know of it because it is on my dashboard a lot, and I have not looked into it. I don't think you're gonna like this one.
I hate the art already. It's creepy and off-putting.
Yep,
It's
that's
a
the
weird
vibe.
indie horror game.
Yeah, that's us.
We tend to like
Oh,
those.
would you mind if I read the tagline on Steam?
Please do.
Sure.
The 5 crew members of the Tulpar are stranded in the empty reaches of space, shrouded in perpetual sunset. God is not watching.
Hmm.
Tell me that doesn't sound like a thing we would like.
I guess we'll find out.
Alright.
Back to back. Game of our year, Signalis. Game of our year, Soma.
We do have a bit of a niche all of a sudden.
Game of our year, mouthwashing? Question mark? Maybe. All right. So next up, we will play some mouthwash. Look, our mouths are filthy. We need to wash them.
Gross.
Sorry.
Yep.
So thank you, Pete.
Yeah, parts of this I liked, parts I definitely did not. Altogether, it's a fine, YouTube stretch.
Thank you, Em.
Thank you. Do we want to tell people to leave us a review?
Yeah. If you're enjoying this
Yeah.
show, go ahead and leave us a review or tell someone in person, but also leave a review because it helps surface this podcast
Accost people on the street. Hire a skywriter. Whatever you need to do.
And as I always say, you really want to pick the 5-star button. The other ones, they don't work.
They're very bad.
They're very bad. I don't want to say this, but I hear that if you hit the 4-star button, it bricks your computer.
Whoa.
Yeah, and you don't want to know what happens with the 1-star button.
People are going to do that just to see what happens.
No.
And then you're going to be responsible for that.
No, you got to hit the 5-star button. The 5-star one, if you hit the 5-star one, you'll find a lucky penny on the sidewalk. Yeah, that's what'll happen for you.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts, and they seem to really want people to leave 5-star reviews on their things. So I figured we should do that too, and that's why we're asking you. And if you do leave us a review, I will read it. I promise.
Yeah, we might even read it on the show. Who's to say? If it's decent.
If it's funny. If it's just good, I don't think we're gonna read it.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't read that. That's true. All right. Well, thank you, Pete.
Yep.
Thank you, Em.
Thank you.
And reminder, you can get in touch with the show, deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com and deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections. Support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. Till next time, peace.